Ada exam ke? Tak ada.
No.
Alright, it's okay. Okay, let's continue. So this is going to be our last lecture. Okay, because next week is holiday, right? On Wednesday, it's public holiday. So next week, most probably, what we will have on Monday for Group A. If you guys have uh, any questions to ask regarding the project, so just let me know, and then I will conduct a session for maybe debugging or maybe questions you want to ask. Yeah, so next week class is not compulsory lah, basically. Yeah, so for those that who have um, something to discuss regarding the project, yeah, for all the class, yeah, for group A, B, and C, because B will have lab on Thursday and C will have lab on Friday. So if you guys have anything that you would like to discuss with me to clarify or anything, all right, so just let me know. So we will conduct the session as usual. So I will set up the class link as usual. Yeah, but you need to let me know lah if you need some guidance, right? Okay. All right. For today, I'm going to recap back about this topic. This is chapter 8, packaging and deployment of enterprise application. So basically in this topic, we cover these four subtopics. We're going to look at packaging components, packaging Java EE applications, deployment descriptor, and also deployment tools. And then let's recap back. Okay, before we start this topic, most probably let's recap a few things about the enterprise application. So previously we have learned web container, right? So web container are basically Java server applications that provide an environment for execution of Java web applications, servlets, and also JSP. So basically, web container maintain the life cycle of the servlet. So it helps to call the do get and do post method that reside in the servlet and also JSP. And then basically it will issue a thread for each request. So this thread will be called up during the execution of the code. Let's say you have a form and then you submit. So that is considered as a thread in the web containers. And then it will give the servlet the HTTP request and returns it respond to the client. So this is basically the web container. All right, let's take a look at the web container and web server integration. So basically, web container may be used to process HTTP requests by executing the service method. The service method is the do get and do post on an HTTP servlet object. Okay, basically when you create bin and then you want it to set, and after that you want to send it to another page. Okay, so that is creating an object of HTTP servlet and submit it to a JSP or maybe submit it to a servlet in order to do some database, right? Some query, whether want to insert, select, edit. All right. So this is basically the processes that will happen in the web server, and then it will respond back using the HTTP response protocol. Right. So basically, web server have the web container that process the HTTP request and interact with the database to generate the HTTP response. So then the web server will send back the response to the particular user, their workstation, basically. All right, so let's look at packaging components. So this is the today topic. So first of all, after we develop all our web component application, whether you develop web consists of JSP, only JSP, or you have JSP and servlet, or you have the MVC model, view and component, which and controller, which is you have Java Bean, JSP, and servlet. So we call that as Java Web Applications. Or maybe if you have EAR, which is the enterprise application, the one in lab 10, right? You develop a session bean. So that also consider a Java EE application. So these three kind of files, we can basically we can actually call them as a EE application. So whether it's jar or wa or il, yeah? So whether it's jar, wa or il file, so basically when you package it, so it will package according to the type. Okay, if you have EJB, so basically it will um, package it into EJB jar.xml. Whether is it web, okay, so it will package it into the web archive. Okay, if you have enterprise application, so it will um, package it into EL file. Okay, so this is what we call as a packaging the component. So basically, these files, we call it as a standard jar file. Okay, this is for deployment to the application servers for easy for you to deploy rather than copy all the folder and then put it in the server. So to avoid that kind of thing, what we do is we just pick the one that in the component packaging component part, which is in the distribution folder, uh, whether it's wa or ear or ja. Okay, so you package in a call this one. So if your project is a web archive, you will package it into WAV file. Okay, and then you package in one of this format for the rest. Yeah? And then you can use this file to deploy to the local server or a cloud server. So by making this one, so it is possible to assemble a number of different Java EE applications using some of the same component. So there is no extra coding needed. Yeah, it will automatically done by the um, IDE. So we are using NetBeans. So NetBeans automatically package it in the component base. So it's only matter of assembling it. Okay, so make sure your in your web.xml, the deployment descriptor must be correctly written. If not, if you have the var and then you put it on the web server or web container, and something wrong with the web.xml, so it won't run appropriately. So this is packaging the components. Next, let's look at packaging EJB modules. So an EJB file is basically a portable and can be used for various application. So this is basically the structure in maybe you can see this one in the NetBeans, yeah, structure of EJB Enterprise Bean jar. Okay, to assemble this, basically a Java application. So the archive file will hold all the application files. So when deploying it, so the file will contain the enterprise bean jar file, and then you need to deploy it to the Glassfish server. So like in the lab exercise, right? I have shown you for group A lah. Yeah, basically I have shown you how to deploy it manually using the admin console. Okay, so group B and C, I will show you next lab at how to deploy it manually, the jar file, the ear file, or the WAR file itself. And then the one that very important, and then yeah, very important about web module. So we already have learned this web module, right? Web application. So we call it as a WAR file. So basically in the WAR file, you will have web.xml, you will have lushfish.webxml, and then what else? Glassfish resource, right? .xml. So all this .xml file contain all the mapping. So make sure you have it written correctly before you deploy it on the web container, right? So when looking at the all this, right? So meaning that you need to make sure your application is EE compliant, where it follows the rules for the mapping for the all the um, web.xml, the deployment descriptor. So in the NetBeans, to make your WAR file, so basically you just right click on the project node, this is the project, and then select build project. And then after you do that, then the WAR file will be auto created in the this subdirectory for your project folder. Okay, this is in case you did not have the WAV file ready. Yeah. So normally if you do clean and build or you deploy, so this the WAV file will be auto created in the this subdirectory of the project. All right, so let's move on to the deployment descriptor. So deployment descriptor, basically the one that we have used, right? So I think everyone know about this. Then the file name is web.xml. Okay, so that is deployment descriptor. So it reside under web INF. Okay, and then this is basically to determine this file to determine how URLs map to the servlet. So this deployment descriptor will contain the mapping between your servlet to the URLs. Okay, maybe extra, maybe web.xml, we can set initial parameters to be used, and then we can also declare our JDBC resource and also any other information that require authentication. So basically it have many features, but the main thing is actually to determine how the URLs map to the servlet. Yeah. So this is the location, and then you will use this file to describe deployment or runtime settings and also specs that can be used when deployment is executed or the application runs on the server. Right. So now here the slide shows an example of web.xml. So this is only one part of it, right? So this is basically the mapping. You can see the name and then the class name and then the servlet mapping. Okay. Again, the name. So if you put a different name, let's say you put um, the URL pattern will be, let's say, time.servlet. Okay, so you can put the URL pattern differently. Basically, it's not compulsory to be same. And then there is some session timeout configuration, and also you have welcome file configuration. So these are all the things that could be in the web.xml. So others will be like application context parameter, tag library preferences, and security and authentication settings. So there are a lot more that you can define in the web.xml. For example, so this is the code for mapping a servlet to URL. So first you need to have servlet name, and then you have servlet class. This is if you put your login servlet under some folder or package. Okay, so you need to put it correctly. So this is basically the path in the folder of your project. Next is mapping the servlet to URL or URL pattern. So using the same name, and you put the URL pattern and the one that going to be in your URL later on after the context path. Next is an example of adding initialization parameters to the servlet. So still remember our lab 6, we have done this, yeah, for your lab 6 post lab. Most of you have put it um, the initialization parameter for the type of genre, right? So you put it in the web.xml. Okay, so this is an example of the code. Yeah, how do you put it in? So param name with param value. Okay, so param name and then param value. So meaning that anywhere in the project, if you want to use the same username in every page, you want to hard code the admin, you can call the username directly because it's in the deployment descriptor. So it will initialize the parameters to the servlet, and then you will, can get the admin value and admin at local host directly. Yeah. And then next, in web.xml, we can also accessing the servlet initialization parameter. So this is the syntax. Yeah? We're using get servlet config and get init parameter username. So this is how you get the value for username admin. Any question? For the deployment descriptor?
Boleh.
Yeah. All right. So let's look at deployment tools. So in deployment tools, so this is basically supported in your IDE already, your NetBeans. Yeah. So your NetBeans have this deployment where you click on deploy on the project, right click the project and just choose deploy. So in deployment tools, basically they require the web container and also the web server. Okay, so will make the process of distributing software and updates as easy as possible. So meaning that you need to use these deployment tools in order for you to deploy your application to the web server. So just imagine that later when you work, okay, you were given a group, so you are sitting in in a team for only programmers. So you were given a workstation, so you only will do the coding using the workstation, so the PC. Okay, and then whenever that you want to deploy, okay, you need to go to the server, whether physically or maybe virtually. So maybe you need to have an access to the virtual server on the cloud. Okay, the server will be not in the same room where you work. Maybe it will be located outside the country, or maybe I don't know, maybe in US, right? Maybe in Singapore. So that kind of situation. So what you need to do, you need to have the package, the packaging just now, like I said, like war the web archive, or here the EJB archive, or the jar itself. Okay, the jar archive, the Java archive. So this archive file, you will put it or deploy it on the web server. So what you need to do, you need to go to the admin console of the web server and then deploy the application. So I believe nowadays it's very easy. You need to access it virtually. Okay, just you need have a URL and access permission to get through to the web server, and you can deploy it automatically. No need for you to physically go to the location of your web server. Okay, but it still depends. If the let's say you are building a web application for banking, for example, so maybe there are a lot of restriction. So maybe there are some cases that you need to go to the location of the web server. So that's why deployment tools very important, right? So you need to know how to deploy manually. So currently it being done by your NetBeans, yeah. So your NetBeans have supported this to basically to deploy. So once deploy on the local platform, and then the application will be ready to run. Okay, so basically you need to have the tool to help you to deploy. So this is all the list of some of the deployment tools out there. Yeah, beside NetBeans. Yeah, so these are all the deployment tools. Okay, so for Java. So this is called like major or powerful Java deployment tools in the market. Okay, will which can help you and your management, top management, yeah, to deploy your web application or web archive in the major server. Right. So let's look at how to deploy a WAR file. So basically, first of all, we need to create the WAR file in the NetBeans. So you go to the project properties for each of the project. Okay, so choose packaging here. So make sure you have these settings. Yeah, and then if you have it, just click on OK. Next, after you check that one, so automatically if you click build or clean and build, so in the disk, in your project library, in the disk, the DVD library.war will be created in this project files. So you go to your DVD library. So you have built and disk. So open up your disk. So this is where your WAR file that will be created in the project directory. Next, to deploy it. So basically, open the admin console. So this is an admin console of Glassfish web server. So when you open it, and then the first page is this page. You need to click on the applications. So here you can see that these are the list of application that have been deployed. Okay, so what we will do, basically for this one, so we leave it as it is, or if you want to try it out, so you just click on launch. Okay, if you want to deploy a new application, so you just click on deploy, and then it will open up a window here and click on browse. When you click on browse, so basically it will ask you to choose the WAV file. So go to the location of your project and select this folder. So under this folder, there is a WAV file. So choose the WAV file and click OK. So basically it will appear under the list of deploy application after that. Right. So next, after you have deployed the web application, you will given this link, yeah, when you click on launch. Right. So when you click on launch, this link will be given. So after you click that, so this is basically calling the URL of the server. Okay. If you use localhost, it will appear localhost. Right. This is a server name. Desktop one. The port number is 8181. And DVD library is the application. So it will open up the application directly. So this launch link will take us to the web application page with links where you can access the deploy application. All right. Any questions so far? All right. If no questions, so let's answer the tutorial questions. Can you see this, guys? Boleh?
Yes, madam.
All right. So question number one. How do we deploy this? Oops. How do we deploy
Like
this Java?
click on project, select deploy.
Okay, that is using the NetBeans, correct. So let's say we want to deploy it manually using the admin console, right? Group A, anyone? I have demo how to deploy, right? Web application using manual steps, not using the NetBeans.
We go to the console and then we choose the WAR file and then we deploy there.
All right. So basically you got the idea, right? How to do it. So basically you need to go to the admin console, all right, and then select the applications, and the application list will be appear. From there, you choose a button deploy. So the deploy button will require you to select other application that you want to deploy. So just select the deploy and then click on OK, and then it will automatically deploy the web application. So a few more steps rather than NetBeans, right? NetBeans is just one click, everything is done. Right, so that is how we deploy EE application or Java web application. All right, how about number two? Describe the use of deployment descriptor for deploying Java application. Come on.
To define the web application name, description, server class, and mapping to URL, server configuration, parameter, uh, server filter definition and filter mapping, application content parameter, welcome page, error page, tag libraries reference, security and authentication setting.
Okay, right. That is basically some of the functions, yeah, for deployment descriptor. So it's just not only mapping, yeah, mapping the servlet, yeah, to the URL pattern. It also you can also use deployment descriptor for initialization parameters, and also for GSTL tag libraries, and then also for mapping the let's say from servlet to JSP. So there are a lot of things you can do with deployment descriptor. Okay, number three, explain the structure of the web module. Anyone? What is the structure of web module? What do you have in web module? You have web pages, and then what else?
Sublet class file,
Servlet
HTML file.
HTML file, HTML file in the
Mhm.
web pages, right? So the servlet will
Okay.
reside under which one? Naim ada? Ha. So what is the structure of web module? Instead of web pages, what is the rest thing that you have? Okay, library files, and then what else? Where do you put the servlet files? Under classes, which is source package. Okay, and then what else? Library files we consider about the Java class. Okay, that is the structure of web module. So how about number four? All right, let's try this one, everyone. And then if you have done it, just put in the chat. Write a simple web.xml that maps to insert data, insert, and inserts URL path to the servlet class, insert data servlet. So servlet name is my servlet. So we have one servlet name to be mapped to three URL pattern. Okay, how to do that? Anyone dah buat? Have any idea? Okay, Fatin. So the servlet class is insert data servlet. Servlet name is my servlet. The mapping. All right. Anyone have any other answer than Fatin? Semua sama? Mm-hmm. No, I don't think so because you need some name in order for you to pass it accordingly from one servlet to another URL. So the best practices is to put from the servlet to the URL pattern name. Okay, everyone have the same answer? Bifatin,
Yes, we do.
Aina Nabila, Dayang, sama ke jawapan? Aiman, all are same? Okay, same Alright. Okay, that is actually the answer. Okay, for the number 4. Okay, how about number 5? What are the different structure? EJB, JAR with WAR. What's the different structure? Well, just now we said that it have web pages, it have, of course, deployment descriptor, and so it have web INF, web pages, classes. Um, yep, that's it, right? And the libraries. Okay, how about EJB JAR? What is the difference? Do you have an extra for EJB JAR? Bean session. Bean, bean is actually the EJB JAR. So for EJB JAR, how is the structure? What are the structure for EJB JAR? If you notice, in lab 10, you did the EJB application, which, yeah, so it will have another kind of um, folder name meta INF. Yeah, if you notice in your lab 10, yeah, so that is considered that they will have the ejbjar.xml, which is like your deployment descriptor, web.xml. Okay, you also have the manifest. Okay, so this is the difference between EJB and WAR. So the difference it have a very specific folder name meta-inf, whereas web archive you have web INF. Boleh class? Is it clear? All right. So okay, I have quick check here. So please answer this question. And then, oh yeah, I want to discuss to show you the presentation time for your project on you will present on 7, right? 7 February. Okay. So this is the groups that I get from the form that you fill out for the group project registration. So I have sort into a group, uh, your groups, yeah, A, B, C. So we will start at 9 on the 7th, yeah, for presentation. So this is the group name, right? So please look at here and your date. Choose your date, it will be same, yeah. So 9 to 10 will be this group. 10, 11. So we try to make it 5 group per for 1 hour, yeah. uh, then 11, 12. And then we stop at 12, and then we continue at 2. And then 3 to 4 until finish lah. Yeah. Any question? I will put this one on the web also, or I will share it in your WhatsApp group. Yeah. So basically, please get ready and just I will give a link, yeah, for only one link. So the link will be the same for all the groups. Yeah. So just remember your date and time. Yeah, the date will be 7. The time will be according to the group. Okay, so just remember your time to present. So be there at earliest as possible. So just go through. I will call out according to the sequence. Boleh?
Why, doctor?
Boleh,
Boleh
doktor.
doktor.
All right, on 7, yeah. So we start at 9 with group A, continue until 12. Stop at 12, then continue back at 2 until most probably 4 to 5. Yeah. All right. Okay, this is the presentation time. I think that's all good. So your test 2 will be on 4, yeah, for February. So it will be start 3, right? 3 to 5. Anyone have any issue? All okay?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, test 2.
Okay.
Okay, if you guys have any issue, just let me know. Yeah, I'll try to do whatever that I can. All right, so I'm still marking your lab exercise, lab 11 and 12. Yeah? So nanti I will update lah in the link of the assessment link. Yeah. All right. Anything else that you want to ask? So since this is our last class, so most probably we do not have kita ada consultation je lah next week for group project consultation. Yeah. So if you have anything that you want to discuss, you want to ask about maybe untuk increment ID, right? So that kind of thing you can ask um, anytime lah, basically because you are currently doing the project, right? Ke tak start lagi? Right,
Ongoing.
Dah start
that's good.
doktor.
Okay, that's good. Okay, right, since it's our last lecture class, so I want to apologize if I make some things maybe letih banyak kat you ke, kan? Maybe ada buat ajaran sesat ke? Okay, alright, so hopefully did not see you again at SEM. So please do well for the project because the project means final assessment. If you get full marks, or most probably 29 out of 30, right? And then plus storyboard 10, so you get almost full marks for the project. So you will successfully pass this course. Okay, boleh?
Why,
Boleh
doctor?
doktor.
All right. For group B and C, see you again. This our lab session. Yeah, for uh tomorrow and the next day. All right. I think that's all. Thank you for everything. Thank you, class.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
doctor.
Doctor.
Thank you,
Thank
doktor.
you, you, doctor.
Doktor,
Thank you,
saya ada
doktor.
soalan.
Yep.
For the report of the project, we need to do the user manual, right? So, do doctor provide any guideline or rubric for the user manual?
User manual is just a simple one. You just yeah, let's say you have 2 users, so make sure you have 2 user manual lah. Yeah. So for one admin and one for the normal user. So you just screenshot and then elaborate what the user can do. Make it short
Uh,
and simple.
Alright. One more question. During the presentation, do we need to provide any slide or just present the web system?
Present the system and also present the code. So
Alright.
I will ask you guys to show me the MVC, which part, which code, and maybe I will ask which one of you that did which of the code.
Okay.
Okay, just
Thank
be
you,
prepared.
Doctor.
Mm-mm. All right.
Thank you doktor.